So we're here today. We're going to talk about how to tune the PI 5500 with blanket, also with the other coils. Just a bit on how to set it up and how to tune it, and also how to detect things at different depths based on the tuning. So to get started, what you want to do is you want to press and hold the on button. The unit comes on. We want to verify it's in auto. If it's not in auto, we want to press the auto button, and we want to change the setting. So you press it once to change it from auto to semi, and then back again. So it just toggles back and forth. For the blanket, we want to use automatic mode in the beginning. It gives us a much better, much easier chance. In the beginning, we want to use the automatic mode because it's much easier to ground balance. So once we've determined it's in automatic, we want to move through the sensitivity, delay, and threshold. That's this button here. So the SDT button will give us sensitivity, delay, and threshold. Sensitivity, to start out, we might put it around 5. Delay, we want to keep the delay low until we figure out the kind of ground that we're working in. In very mineralized ground, we need to keep the delay low. It's also better for seeing smaller stuff closer to the surface. To look for deeper stuff, once we've determined the mineralization, we want to move. We want to increase the delay for deeper targets. And then threshold. Threshold is the point at which it begins to give you a signal. In very mineralized ground, we want to adjust the threshold so that we can work in those conditions. So we hit the SDT button 4 times, once for each setting, and then the 4th time to commit it. And it's ready to detect. With the regular coil, with the blanket coil, there is no magnetometer, so we would not want discrimination. If we were using a discriminating coil like the 1 meter coil, we would hit the discrimination button and it would say discrimination right here. The blanket coil does not have a magnetometer and does not discriminate, so we'll leave that off. So once we've got it set, we're ready to detect. I like to use it in graph mode. Gives me a little bit more information. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to hit a target that's easy to see over there. Okay, so now to illustrate the ferrous response, we'll put on the magnetometer so we can see the FE indicator. So I'll just power it down so I can change the antenna. So go ahead and cut it, and then we'll set up over here. Okay, so when we're using the coil by ourselves, We want to make sure that we keep the when we're using the coil by ourselves, we want to keep the coil towards us so that we can hold it out, keep the coil away from keep the wire away from the coil, and be able to get the best response. So we'll turn on our unit. We'll allow it to ground balance. It's in automatic mode. We'll allow it to ground balance, and then we'll put on discriminate. We'll run through the sensitivity delay threshold. Now, as you'll see, as you walk along, you'll see it change. When I move over the target. Getting an FE indicator now. So when we're hitting ferrous metal, the FE indication will light up. Okay, so things to remember when tuning the blanket for different applications are, besides keeping it in automatic and choosing the discrimination mode that's appropriate. In the case of a blanket, we would not want to be discriminating. We want to put it into semi, where on the screen it doesn't say DISC anymore, and that's how you know that it's off. If you hit the SD button again, it says disc, you know that discrimination is on. So beyond that, the sensitivity, delay, and threshold, in areas of heavy mineralization, we want to have a lower threshold. In areas free of heavy mineralization, we want to have a higher threshold. So sensitivity might also play a role in that. If it looks like it's very sensitive and you want to ignore some of the smaller targets, maybe pieces of metal on the ground, you can decrease the sensitivity. But the main thing to use to be able to tune the blanket is using the delay. Using a lower delay allows you to get a nice auto tuning. So I'm going to go ahead and set the sensitivity at 5. I'm going to leave the delay at 4, but I'm going to increase the threshold because the ground here is mineralized, but not extremely so. So I'm going to use a threshold of around 11. Now the first target that I want to attempt to get is the treasure box at 6 feet. It's an easy target. It's a larger target. So as I go over it makes a strong response. And when it's off, it cuts off. You want to make sure you avoid your shoes. Sometimes they have metal in them. The overriding principle with pulse induction is to be in constant motion, and that's kind of counterintuitive to the blanket as it's just sitting there. I'm sure you've seen people swinging their metal detectors back and forth. That technique is also useful for the pulse, but in the case of the blanket, we want to just keep the antenna moving. If it sits over a target too long, it can start to feed back.